Prepare to journey back in time and witness one of the most devastating conflicts in the annals of ancient Greece, the Peloponnesian War. This is a narrative of how two mighty city-states, Athens and Sparta, once bound by alliance, found themselves at the epicenter of merciless enmity. This conflict not only radically altered the political landscape of Greece but also imparted harsh lessons about the nature of power, the intricate web of political intrigue, and boundless human ambition. It is an epic tale of unwavering resilience, treacherous betrayal, and the tragic consequences that inevitably follow any prolonged war. The Peloponnesian War became a turning point in human history, vividly demonstrating how power, much like a double-edged sword, can be both the greatest blessing and a deadly curse. Discover how events unfolded and what ultimately led to this tragedy. The Peloponnesian War was more than just a military clash. It was a confrontation of fundamental ideologies, the democracy embodied by Athens versus the oligarchy represented by Sparta. It was a struggle between a naval power with developed trade routes and a land-based state whose might was founded on military strength. The conflict erupted not only for dominance over Greece but also for the very definition of Greek civilization. The roots of this vast conflict stretch back to the era following the triumphant Greco-Persian Wars. Athens, once a bastion of Greek freedom, significantly strengthened its position thanks to the Delian League, established to defend against potential Persian aggression. However, over time, Athens transformed this league into an empire, consolidating its power over smaller city-states and exploiting their resources for its own benefit. Attempts by some cities to break free from Athenian hegemony were brutally suppressed, leading to increased discontent and tension. Sparta, in turn, led the Peloponnesian League, uniting oligarchic states that feared Athenian power. Unlike Athens, which prospered through trade and democratic principles, Sparta was an austere, militaristic state where the land army formed the bedrock of its strength. As Athens expanded its influence through diplomacy and military might, tensions with Sparta and its allies steadily escalated. Many Greek states found themselves drawn into the confrontation between these two superpowers, forced to choose sides in a conflict that would determine the region's fate for years to come. The striking contrast between Athens and Sparta was unmistakable. Athens, renowned for its flourishing arts, philosophical thought, and formidable navy, was convinced of its cultural and political superiority. Sparta, with its unwavering discipline and militaristic way of life, valued stability above all else and saw Athens as a dangerous force undermining the foundations of the traditional Greek world. Against a backdrop of escalating minor clashes and endless disputes, an impending full-scale war seemed inevitable. Every city-state felt the approach of this conflict, understanding it was only a matter of time. Several key events pushed Athens and Sparta to the brink. The Corcyra incident in 433 BC, when Athens intervened in a conflict between Corinth and Corcyra, supporting the latter against Corinth, an important Spartan ally, caused serious alarm within the Peloponnesian League. This was followed by the revolt in Potidaea in 432 BC, when Athens ordered Potidaea, a Corinthian colony, to sever ties with Corinth and submit to Athenian authority. Potidaea resisted with Spartan support, leading to a prolonged Athenian siege. Finally, the Megarian decree, through which Athens imposed economic sanctions against Megara, a Spartan ally, striking at its trade, further exacerbated hostilities. Sparta, sensing the impending threat, issued an ultimatum: Athens must free its dependent states, or face war. When Athens rejected this demand, war erupted in 431 BC. The Greek world was plunged into chaos, brother against brother in a struggle that would engulf generations. In the early years of the war, fierce sieges unfolded, alliances shifted, and casualties steadily mounted. Athens relied on its impregnable walls and powerful fleet, while Sparta ravaged agricultural lands, seeking to starve its opponent into surrender. However, neither side was willing to yield, leading to an exhausting war of attrition. Sparta, with its superior land forces, invaded Attica, burning fields and villages to force the Athenians to capitulate. Athens, led by the far-sighted statesman Pericles, adopted a different strategy, avoiding direct land engagements and relying on its fleet to control sea trade routes and raid the Spartan coast. Initially, This strategy proved quite successful, but in 430 BC, a tragic event struck Athens. A deadly plague epidemic swept through the city. The high population density within the city walls made it impossible to effectively contain the disease. The plague claimed the lives of tens of thousands, including Pericles himself, delivering a severe blow to Athenian morale and leadership. As Athens' position weakened, its allies began to waver in their loyalty. The question arose, could the great Athenian empire survive this harsh test of time? Despite these setbacks, Athens managed to achieve several significant victories. One of the most unexpected moments of the war was the capture by Athenian forces of hundreds of elite Spartan warriors at Pylos in 425 BC, an unprecedented event in Spartan history. A humiliated Sparta offered peace negotiations, but Athens, emboldened by its successes, rejected the offer, aiming to exploit its advantage to the fullest. In 421 BC, after years of fierce fighting, both exhausted sides concluded the so-called Peace of Nicias, intended to last 50 years. However, the truce proved fragile, enduring for only 6 years. The ambitions of both states remained unfulfilled, merely temporarily suppressed, awaiting a new opportunity for conflict to reignite. Still striving to expand their influence, Athens made the fateful decision to invade Sicily in 415 BC. The objective of this military campaign was to weaken Sparta by capturing Syracuse, a powerful Spartan ally. Yet, the campaign was plagued by poor planning, disagreements within the leadership, and unexpectedly strong enemy resistance. One of the key figures in this tragic story was Alcibiades, a charismatic and controversial Athenian leader. Accused of religious crimes, he defected to Sparta and helped them devise a strategy to counter Athens. Meanwhile, the Athenian general Nicias, who had initially opposed the invasion, showed indecisiveness at crucial moments. The result was a complete catastrophe. By 413 BC, the Athenian expedition was utterly destroyed. Thousands of Athenian soldiers were killed or captured and sent to horrific conditions in Sicilian quarries. This devastating loss severely undermined Athens' power. The once proud city, which had dreamt of creating a great empire, found itself on the brink of complete collapse. Exploiting Athens' vulnerability, Sparta radically revised its tactics. Thanks to generous financial support from Persia, the Spartans built a formidable fleet intended to challenge Athenian naval dominance. Gradually, it became increasingly difficult for Athens to keep its empire under control, as revolts erupted one after another, and resources were inexorably depleted. Decades of continuous war had become an unbearable burden. The culmination came in 405 BC when, at the Battle of Aegospotami, the Spartan fleet under Lysander delivered a crushing blow, virtually annihilating the Athenian fleet. Left without naval protection and with its supply lines cut, Athens found itself on the verge of starvation. In 404 BC, Athens was forced to capitulate. The terms imposed by Sparta were ruthless, and the era of Athenian greatness came to an end. However, Spartan rule proved short-lived, as Thebes and Macedon soon rose to challenge Sparta's hegemony. The Peloponnesian War serves as an eternal reminder of the dangers of unbridled ambition, the inconstancy of alliances, and the immense cost of protracted conflicts. This war so exhausted the Greek world that within a century, it fell under the onslaught of an even more powerful force, Macedon. It serves as a stark reminder that power is transient, and hubris can lead to the downfall of even the greatest civilizations. Even today, the Peloponnesian War finds echoes in modern geopolitics, reminding us how new powers challenge the existing world order, often leading to bloody conflicts.